Hello, dreamers. This is your host, Marco of Dreaming in Fashion. Welcome to another week of this podcast where we discuss all things fashion. Before I get started, I just want to apologize. I know that I've been away for a couple of weeks, but we're back and we'll be doing this podcast on a weekly basis. I'm not sure as to which day that I'll be posting the episodes, but I will be bringing them back to you on a weekly basis. So let's just dive right into it. So we have a lot of topics to talk about today. I'm excited. There's a lot has happened within the fashion industry. So we'll just get started. So first I want to talk about the Ralph Lauren documentary, Very Ralph. So it came out on November the 12th on HBO. I watched the documentary last night, and it was an interesting documentary. I've always had respect for Ralph Lauren, but it seems like my respect shifted just a little bit. And here's why. So, all these years, I've never known that Ralph Lauren never studied fashion, or he was never skilled or was never taught the trade of fashion designing. So he was more like a businessman per se. And to me, I always meet people who always say that, I do fashion, but they don't sketch, they don't sew, they don't design, and they just kind of, wing it, and they're more, I guess, more like business people, which is cool, I guess. I just didn't expect that from him being so big, or how big that he is. I just never expected that, just coming from him. I thought that he was skilled in sewing, illustrating, design, but he does have his hand in the process, and he does have a team that works for him. So just in the documentary, he was one of the first fashion designers to create a true lifestyle brand, and he tied into a home collection, and he dedicated to stores for the label. Now, his label has been around for 50 years, and also he was hesitant to do this documentary. He didn't go into details as to why he was hesitant, but he was hesitant to do this documentary. I'm not sure as to why. Maybe he thought that people would judge him. I don't think that it was anything that he could be judged. It's just telling his life story and how he came to where he is right now. Now, also, he was one of the first designers in his era to put African American models in his ad campaign. So those models was Naomi Campbell and Tyson Beckford. So basically, he kind of discovered Tyson Beckford in a sense. He said that he liked Tyson Beckford's look. It was clean. And he said that he was just a pretty guy. Literally, that was the words. He was a pretty guy. So I was kind of surprised for that too as well. Now, he was the first to open a freestanding retail store as well. Now, I did learn that some interesting facts, that he did have a section within Bloomingdale's, but then he also told Bloomingdale's that he had to go. Like, he was gave them an ultimatum. And basically, they ended up keeping his line within the store, but he ended up creating his own store outside of it and still selling and working on his brand. Now, also, who made an appearance on this documentary, y'all favorite person in the world, Kanye West. And Kanye West talked about his earlier years and how, him wearing a polo shirt was kind of like his Superman cape almost, in a sense. Like, he said that was his thing. Now, early Kanye is somebody that I liked. Not so much as of now when it comes to style and different things like that. Also, I was also surprised by how they talked about how polo was really big in the hip hop community, and how it had influence also. So a lot of people in the hip hop community, I remember this time frame. This is around in the 90s, because I remember when I was in high school, I would buy a whole bunch of like Ralph Lauren products. I would spend like all the little money that I would save and different things like that just to go to shop at this particular store in my hometown where I'm from in Mississippi called Tom Calico. And they just talked about the influence and how a lot of people in the hip hop community were wearing $400 coats, and just they was wearing Ralph Lauren from head to toe. Tyson said that he didn't know how they could afford it because whenever he was on set, he would see that those jackets and coats and some of that stuff was $400. So come to find out, those people were boosting some of the stuff. Some of them, not all. Let me make sure that I'm clear on that. Some of them were boosting some of the Ralph Lauren stuff from the stores. I'm not saying that I'm for that. I think that you shouldn't be doing that type of stuff. You should be supporting a designer whenever they are doing that type of stuff. All right. But overall, I think that the documentary was really good. Like I said, it just shed a new light on Ralph Lauren for me. I always looked at him as a great designer. Along with the other great designers, like the Lagerfeld and on, different things like that. I always associated with him with them. So I was just kind of shocked. Now, speaking of designers, let's talk about Zach Posen. So Zach Posen was forced to shut down his house Z because I guess he failed to find investors and new buyers for his business, and basically he was on like a time schedule. So the last day he literally walked in and said, okay, operation has to cease. No matter at what point you were in designing, collection, sewing, or whatever, the operation ceased, and he basically laid everybody off. I think that that's crazy. So one of my friends was discussing with me that people could save Forever 21, but they can't save a dope fashion designer like Zach Posen. Who knows? I mean, I would rather have Zach Posen open Forever 21. And speaking of Forever 21, that brings me to my next topic. So Forever 21 is not closing 200 stores. It will only be closing certain stores. So apparently they've kind of gotten out of this whole bankruptcy thing. I'm not sure what happened. I guess they said that people were investing. I stopped following the story because I guess got disgusted. I'm over Forever 21. I was kind of wanting to see them go down. I was taking delight in their demise just a little bit. Don't judge me, but just a little bit. But yeah, they're not closing. So the next thing I want to talk about is A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky and this men nail art. So basically they're saying that he's making nail art famous. They also said that he said he was inspired by David Bowie and different people like that. Now I see a lot of nail art like in California, maybe a little bit in New York. I haven't saw it much in my area that I stay in here in Atlanta, but I saw a lot of it in LA and different things like that. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I just think it's like a rocker trend, but I think people are really now taking it to the next level or doing a lot with it and just making it like it's like overkill. It's like with anything that's a trend these days. All right, let's move to the next topic. The next up on this list is none other than the Victoria's Secret fashion show being canceled for 2019. Now, if you have been following Victoria's Secret for a couple of years now, a couple of months, whatever, they've had a lot of scandals. They used to have my girl on the show, Rihanna, performing a lot. So I guess apparently the owner or the CEO has had like a lot of issues with, having bigger plus size girls, trans girls, and everybody included into his runways. I guess that may have had something to do with it, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me. But just seems like, I've always liked Victoria's Secret, but, the world is much more diverse than just, skinny girls on the runway. No shade to the skinnier models. No shade. We're not body shaming here. But, the world is way more diverse body-wise. And speaking of body, let's hop right on to this. Some of y'all's favorite girl, Kim K, and she's creating this Skims men line, a shapewear line for men. So she basically teased about it. Somebody was asking her, would she do they think that? Well, do she think that she would create a actual line for men or whatever? Here's how I feel about it. I mean, I say, hey, men are already like pretty much doing like the waist belts and the waist trainers. I see them in the gym. I've seen them online. Hey, I have one when I work out. I don't think it's no big deal that men are getting shapewear. I mean, I think it'll be good for some of those guys that have those like those dad bods that they want to look a little slimmer. Hey, let's go for it. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Next topic is Met Gala 2020. So they've came up with the theme, and the Costume Institute has announced that the theme is, they're calling it About Time, Fashion and Duration. So it's expected to present fashion from like the 1870s to the present time, and it's all about like a time travel through fashion. So that's going to be interesting. I'm really want to see all the different styles from all the different years, with fashion. I would love to see that. Some of my favorite eras are the 80s, the 50s, the 60s. I love the 30s, and of course I love the times of kings and queens. I've always loved that era, so it's going to be interesting. I just hope that people bring it, because it seems like some people always miss the mark when it comes to the Met Gala. Every year they always give a theme, but somebody always misses the mark. So I'm interested in seeing how that goes and who's going to bring what. Now, next thing on my list, I guess we're going back to Rihanna here and her Savage Fenty. So Tinashe, it has become a brand ambassador for Savage Fenty, and also I think Normani has became a brand ambassador for Savage Fenty too. So I think Tinashe is so underrated. People don't give her a chance. I think that I'm interested to see what she's gonna do within the fashion industry. She's haven't been around for a while, but I like her look. I like her style, pretty much for the most part, and I'm interested in see what she's gonna bring to the when the actual ad campaigns, like photography and different things like that. Now, I'm also looking forward to seeing Normani, because that's a bad girl. Normani is that girl, and I'm looking forward to seeing her as well. Well, guys, that is this episode for this week. Stay tuned for next week. Also, remember, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, YouTube, and Google Podcasts. So just please make sure that you guys, you comment, you rate, you subscribe on YouTube, and give me your feedback. Let's keep the discussion going. Drop down in the comments. Let's talk about it. Some things, if you don't agree with me, let's discuss it. So that's my podcast for the week. You guys keep dreaming.